Welcome, Shred Strong. We just started 2025 off with a bang today, on the 6th of January. So hopefully everyone is enjoying the program so far. Made some changes. I'm keeping everything consistent because I really like the wording, first of all, that I've kind of settled on in the past year, the wording of certain things. Even with a handful of new members this cycle, I'm even learning how to improve the wording now because now we have fresh eyes. So there might be some micro adjustments with some definitions and things like that in the workouts. Don't be surprised, but nothing major. As you've seen, I know some of you have done workout number one. So even though Monday is always our rest day, some folks were like, no, I want to deadlift today. Because I know for me, I do enjoy personally working out on Mondays. I kind of have a little bit of I like to just kick off my week that way. But that's just me. I know not everyone's like that. So by all means, don't ever feel obligated to like do a workout on any day that I assign it. As you know, you can always move and drag and drop workouts on whatever day works best for you. So feel free to do that. I will never be offended. In fact, I don't even really like notice things like that if people do it on a different day, just because I'm not looking at the minutia since it is a group program. Now, if you were my one-on-one client, obviously I would look at things a little bit more closely or a lot more closely, but it's not the case with this. So it's kind of a free-for-all in terms of like what you want to do. So always know you have full autonomy over that at any point. Um, we are with deadlifts, we're doing Romanian deadlift because Romanian deadlift, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted about this yesterday. It's one of my favorites and also least favorite deadlift variations just because it can really work the grip incredibly well. And it also helps you really get into a better hinge pattern. I usually like to start folks off who are newer into the program with sumo deadlift just because it's a little bit more of a gentler entryway. But I also like the Romanian deadlift because it is what we call a top-down deadlift. You're starting from the top and you're kind of going down. So you're picking up the barbell or dumbbells, and you're starting actually the deadlift from the standing position. And then you're moving your hips back and doing the deadlift from that stance instead of focusing on picking up the weight from the ground. So I like that personally just because it's a nice way to get into that hip hinge pattern, which is going to make you feel a little bit more confident and secure. Plus, like I said a moment ago, you're going to get some good grip work, which I want to work the grip. I'm making some changes this year compared to the past couple of years. I want to work the grip earlier, and I'm going to work those lovely neck planks earlier in the season. I know it's like not everyone's favorite, but we do have people in the group who live in more temperate climates. So they're able to ride year round. You know, those of us in Colorado, we can kind of hit or miss depending on the weather. But a lot of folks, live in desert climates or California, which is also arid. So you can ride year round. And I'm a real big proponent just because I have had a few athletes get into some crashes recently, where they do hit their head and they're fine, but the mother coach in me wants to incorporate the neck planks probably a little bit earlier. So it will be not necessarily this cycle for January, but probably starting in February is kind of what I've penciled out when I'm like drawing out the idea for 2025. So we're going to be doing that a little bit earlier. And if you don't know what a neck plank is, don't worry, you'll learn. But I just want folks to have the opportunity to have a lot more bandwidth or a lot more runway to have a stronger neck because that really helps if you do ever get into a little crash or an oopsie and you're kind of rattling around that little brain of yours in your head. Having a strong neck, studies have shown, at least with football players and rugby players and people who have high impact sports or play high impact sports, it can help with concussion mitigation potentially. I always have to use that word may because there's nothing that's black and white or guaranteed, but that's just kind of what the studies show. And of course, we're in technically an impact sport if you do hit the ground. Um, so I like to think that that also carries over. And I know the PTs that I work with and I learned from too over the years kind of also agree with that in terms of mountain biking and mountain bikers and gravel cyclists. Okay. Now, squats. So on squat day, we're going to be focusing on an entryway squat, which is going to be the goblet squat if you're in the dumbbell program or the non-barbell program. If you're in the barbell program, that will be, of course, the front squat. Now, I know the front squat, not the most comfortable position to be in if you are in a barbell, and you may not have like super flexible wrists and things like that. If that's you, let me know, reach out, message me in the app just so I can kind of know. And then I can have you um, let me know if you do have any previous wrist injuries. Like for me, I broke this wrist when I was 7. So I have a lot, I'm 45. So I have a lot of scar tissue in there. Sometimes I'll get not Bell's palsy. Sorry. Sometimes I'll get biker's palsy is what they call it on just long rides. So it happens. So please know I'm coming from a place is like understanding your pain because I know a lot of mountain bikers have broken our wrists and whatnot. So that can cause a little bit of something unique to navigate. And that's totally fine. Just let me know. Here to definitely help you. But I did put in a couple of stretches, especially in the barbell program. You had a couple more stretches than the non-barbell program of doing the bandit wrist distraction, which the non-barbell program is doing as well as the front rack barbell stretch, just to kind of get used to stretching a little bit. On top of that, there might need to be a little bit of tricep stretching and stuff like that. But again, we will maybe discuss one-on-one, and that will most likely be something that I add in February, at least based on the little paper draw that I have for the programming. So, and yes, I still use paper. I'm a visual person. Excel can only do so much. Then, so the thing with front squats, it's going to keep you in a more upright position, which will be a lot more comfortable for most people, especially if you do happen to have a little bit of a low back issue or low back history. By all means, you never, ever have to go as deep as I do in my squat videos, okay? I am hypermobile, so my mobility is going to be a little bit more than maybe the average person. By all means, I highly recommend box squats. So squatting to either a bench or a box, and just having your butt touch that surface. You can also sit back if you want to and engage your core a little bit more before you stand up with the barbell or the dumbbell and a goblet squat. Totally up to you. The point in all of the movements that we do, especially those main lifting movements like deadlifts and squats and any type of bench press or overhead press, or excuse me, shoulder press, or any type of row, is to be intentional. The more intentional you can be in these movements, and the more you can just kind of slow down the pace a little bit, the more muscle recruitment you're going to get. And of course, the more mind muscle connection you're going to get as well. It's really going to help you kind of feel in touch with your body, as hippy dippy as that sounds. But that in turn really helps you with building strength and building overall confidence in a lot of these movements. And you're just going to feel better overall. You're going to notice your ramp up in strength is going to be a lot quicker. I hate to use that word because I know we're all looking for something fast sometimes, but it will just help you feel stronger sooner. Okay. The more you can just kind of engage, especially engaging your core before you stand up on those squats and even while you're going down in those squats. So just know you never have to go as deep as I do. All right. Um, in fact, a lot of pros don't even do that. Like a lot of pros do full ass to grass squats is what we call them, but a lot of pros actually don't. It honestly just depends on the coach and also their mobility, especially with some of these pros who have broken their ankles in the past or things like that, and maybe they have some limited motion. That's totally fine. All right, upper body, day 3. So this is your optional day. And the reason for that is because, hey, it's the off season. I really want to focus strongly on doing deadlift and squat patterns and strengthening those for you. And then the day 3 can be optional for you if you want. We're doing a lot of shoulder stability work again. That time of year where we try to go back at the beginning, do a nice foundational work. So we're doing a lot of the isometric shoulder, external rotation and internal rotation, some scapular pull up or push ups rather, because all of those things really help with just getting you connected with your shoulder blades, as stupid as that sounds. And I'm only doing that because a lot of, I won't say a lot, but quite a few mountain biking athletes that I've worked with over the years, especially I find women who are tending to go through perimenopause. Um, we can sometimes have winged scapula. It's just kind of this phenomenon. It's totally fine. It kind of goes hand in hand with sometimes experiencing frozen shoulder as well. And it's because of our hormone changes sometimes, but for some folks, it's also not a hormone change. Totally fine. So it just depends on the person. We're all beautiful snowflakes. But getting in touch with kind of just moving your shoulder blades can really help you like I feel more connection. So kind of the same point of being intentional with your squats and deadlifts and all of that, getting in touch with your shoulder blade and being able to kind of like move your shoulder blades a little bit and doing those cars that we're going to have in the programming. You'll see the scapular cars on day 3. That again will just help you kind of slow down and be like, oh, okay, that's the full range of my shoulder joint. There we go. Especially if maybe you have a shoulder injury from the past or something like that. Okay. Former tennis player, I don't know, whatever it is for you. Um, we're also working on more upper back, so we're doing some banded face pulls, working on those upper back muscles because we really want to hit those hard, especially these first few months of the cycle before we get into like main bike season for most of us, because that's going to be an area where a lot of folks will feel fatigued, especially their first times going downhill. All right. You're just going to feel a little bit more fatigued. You're also going to feel more fatigued in your lower back. So don't worry, we're going to be covering that as well because next cycle in February, we're going to be doing a lot of hip thrusts and glute bridges, things like that. Um, so we'll be starting the hip thrusts earlier in the season as well. So there's going to definitely be some changes just based on some things I've been testing over the past few months as I've gotten back into things and from my endurance days. So it feels really good. Hopefully it feels really good for everyone else. I know a couple of other athletes I have testing, uh, they're feeling really good. So yeah, you're gonna be the first main group to go through this as a group. But that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. Again, we always focus on the main for my philosophy, just so you all know, especially for those of you who are new and watching this. Um, my philosophy is that, slow is steady. The turtle always, can win the race over the rabbit. But I really think that if you give it, a good 3 to 6 months at a minimum and up to 12 months, you're going to see those dramatic changes in just how stable you feel on the bike and how resilient you're going to feel. Should you take a tumble, or should you even put a grocery bag away wrong? Anything that's in your daily life movement that can elicit any type of ache or pain or like a twinge in a joint. My hope is that this will make you feel more resilient in your day-to-day living as well as on the bike. So that's my hope, and that you're going to feel a lot more confident going uphill and a lot more stable going downhill. Philosophy wise, I'm really big on hip hinge movement being included in a program as well as squat pattern or knee centric movement. And then on top of that, we have a lunge, what we consider a lunge, which is going to be a single leg movement. So things that are, Cossack squats, or side lunges, lateral lunges, whatever you want to call them. Single leg, split squats. You're going to see that in the cycle this time. And then a push movement, like push-ups, bench press, things like that, as well as any type of pulling movement. That can be pull up, that can be rows. I'm real big on rows because guess what? This pattern mimics on your mountain bike, especially whether you're on a gravel bike or a mountain bike, you're still pushing and pulling that bike, especially as you navigate technical terrain. And then the sixth and final movement pattern is going to be any type of core or carry, what we call carries, a heavy carry or any type of core movement or rotational movement. All right. And that gives you kind of the big package or the big picture here for you to have all of your movement patterns covered every week. And as long as you can get at least 2 of those strength training sessions in, especially days 1 and 2, you're going to cover a majority of that because I do try to sprinkle in, on deadlift day, I'm still trying to sprinkle in some knee centric movement. That way you're not just doing only hips and only low back and glutes and hamstrings on day 1, because then you're going to hate me. That's more of like a bodybuilding style workout. But this is going to be a little bit more of a full body, complete movement pattern, whole package, give it to you. Okay. And then, of course, on squat day, you're going to be doing a little bit of deadlift stuff, hip hinge stuff, and a little bit of upper body and core sprinkled into those as well. And then day 3, mostly upper body. But still, again, we're working on, a little bit more core because I do have you doing some single arm stuff, and that helps work your core as well. So sneaky, I know, but that helps you at least understand my philosophy and kind of what's in store for 2025 and how we're going to kind of move things along. And as the biking season progresses for majority of us, then things will get into a little bit more muscular endurance, so a higher rep for the accessory movements. But this year, I'm going to actually have you focusing on still doing heavier lifting year round because I want you to realize that that's actually not as exhausting as doing higher reps squats or higher reps deadlifts during the peak of bike season which can be a lot when you're thinking about your biking more during the week. And then you're fitting in a higher rep sequencing with your heavier lifts. It can be a little bit more fatiguing. So we're going to have a little bit more of the higher reps with the finishers, things that are short. That way you can get a nice little punch of volume without exhausting yourself, if that makes sense. So again, lighter weights when we're doing higher reps, and then heavier weights when we're doing lower reps, if that feels good for you. All right. Um, all right, so the consistency challenge for January. I was actually going to do a dry January or dry-ish because I'm not anti-alcohol. Mama loves her wine, all right? Um, but I be honest, I got a little worried. And I know actually a lot of folks are sober or sober curious in the group, but I just panicked actually as a coach because I was like, no, I think everyone might hate this idea. I don't know. And if you're doing dry January or dry-ish January, as I like to call it, by all means, continue to do that. But I do have a program that actually Trainerize implemented this year. So the group that does my app, and they have this whole month long, like dry or dry-ish January. So you define what level dry you want to do, which I'm all about. Um, Maybe I'll use it in a month later on, like maybe during the summer when I think a lot of us do tend to maybe drink a little bit more alcohol because barbecues or things like that. But just letting you know, if you absolutely like hate that idea, I would love to know from you. I might bring this question to the group just to be like, hey, would you just like disown me if I did this as a challenge? Um, but I know for me, I'll be 46 this year. I personally notice a difference when I drink alcohol, even if it is just like a glass of wine. If it's close to bedtime, my sleep is absolute rubbish. And that is really bringing some awareness to me, and how that can impact others. I mean, I read about it. You can learn about this all you want as a health coach, but like, you don't really know until you actually experience the symptoms of perimenopause. And then you start to notice like what a difference like alcohol can make. So just be open to it. If you absolutely hate it, let me know. I'm open to feedback. But this month, we're working on just making it a habit to work out because honestly, this is my favorite January habit because I know a lot of folks are like anti-resolutions and anti-January and kind of New Year, new start type of thing. But I'm kind of for it only because it is a little bit of a tabula rasa and can be such a clean slate for a lot of folks who maybe just feel like they need that. And I think some folks just need that feeling. So I'm a proponent for doing whatever you feel is best, but I think January is a good time to start a new habit. And the biggest thing, for this month is I just want you to focus on for this first week, especially just scheduling your workouts, like looking at your schedule, because now everyone is circling back for things that, maybe were up in the air before the holidays for work. And, everyone's circling back. Um, and that can be a lot, especially if maybe you have a manager or maybe you're the manager and you're obviously dictating things and assigning tasks to folks. For you to maybe be a little overwhelmed schedule wise, and then the kids are going back to school if you have kids, it can kind of feel like a lot. And I just don't want folks to forget about themselves, in this whole process. So the first week, I just want you to focus on looking at your schedule, especially your work schedule, and just kind of the kid schedule and the practices you might have to do and whatever you do, maybe in your free time, and date night, whatever you have going on, and just book your calendar. Like, when do you want to schedule? Think about your energy levels as well. So even if you have like a night of maybe just kind of less ideal sleep, think about doing a morning workout. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes doing a morning workout, what they're finding is doing a morning workout, even when you're a little tired, can actually help with your energy level for the rest of the day. And I can say from experience, but I know I'm just like one person, n equals one. By all means, do what you need to. And if you need a rest day, you need a rest day. That's totally fine and understandable. But I feel like scheduling it out and putting it on your calendar and blocking it out, preventing folks from, scheduling meetings or what have you, coordinate with your partner if you need to with the kids and whatnot. Scheduling it out can really help be step one to getting the workout done. Next step is just getting ready for the workout the night before. I'm sure you've heard this from a million different people, but Even just the act, for example, if your goal is to floss your teeth, even just the example of like putting your floss out on your countertop next to your toothbrush or whatever it is can help you like remind yourself like, oh yeah, I need to floss my teeth. Same thing goes with workouts. Setting out your workout clothes if you're going to work out in the morning, or setting up your gym bag for the next day if you're going to work out maybe after work or whatever it is for you after school. I know everyone has a different life right now. That can be paramount. Having a protein shake, having your water bottle, like get all those things in line. That way it's one less obstacle to get you to your gym. Now, of course, if you work out at home, that's obviously still applicable. Set out your workout clothes. You know, as someone who also has a home gym, sometimes we can use the excuse like, oh, the gym's only like 10 feet away, Jen. Uh, but still just make it as simple as you can. Just make it as easy as you can. So any of those obstacles, just try to minimize those obstacles as best as you possibly can. And that can help you set up your environment to really support you to do the thing that you want to do to get the workout done. So schedule, think about your energy levels, think about your work, think about all the schedules with everyone in your household, including your partner. Book it in, schedule it into your calendar, and then try to set up yourself for the success for the day that you're working on. Okay. Those are my two biggest things that we're going to talk about for the first couple of weeks. Um, then mindset. All right. So this is kind of like a precursor to what we're going to be talking about. So you're just going to get a sneak peek if you're watching this video or if you're live. The all or nothing mindset coming from someone who is like, I would say historically, a little bit more like type A. I just like things particular. I came from a military family. Like I like order. Okay. And, but the all or nothing, like black and white, like you're either going to do a workout or you're not going to do it at all. I wish that mindset would just die, and sometimes I even have to say that to myself, especially when it comes to like bike interval workouts, because I'm like, oh, I don't have the full 45 minutes, so I just won't do it. And it's actually better to just do whatever of those 45 minutes you can do. So my philosophy is to do all or something versus all or nothing. Now, this is going to take time. This is going to be probably something you're going to need to focus on for more than a week. Even though I'm going to assign it as like a weekly like mindset check for yourself in the consistency challenge this month. But just repeat that mantra to yourself: all or something, not all or nothing. Okay. And then what that means, and I even have this in the like program tab in the app with the little kettlebell icon. What that means and all that means really is just even get through the workout or get through the warm up. Get through the workout. Yeah, that's ideal. But get through the warm up. Just see how you feel. Because if it's just an off day, maybe you really slept awful. Maybe you might be getting sick. If you're starting to get sick, please just take a rest day or a rest week. Or the kids are sick and you're just exhausted. I mean, it could be a plethora of things, right? Work stressful, life stressful, whatever it is. Even just see what the warm up feels like, and then go from there. Warm up usually takes about 10 minutes, generally speaking. Um, and what I usually recommend is like, hey, get the warm up. And then if you can, maybe get the main strength element done. I have everything labeled as a warm up in the instructions in the app. So you're going to see like, hey, you do these goblet squats as a warm up or to warm up or whatever. Um, and then you'll see like the main lift after that warm up sequence. So at least get through the warm up, check in with yourself. Hey, self, how do you feel? If you feel like you can continue, great. Do the first like little superset of the strength stuff. Again, check in, see how you feel. You can either call it, do it the next day, do it in 2 days, whatever you need to, or you can continue to do it and at least do that strength element and then call it a day if time is limited, if energy is limited, or anything like that. Because then you're at least getting the main strength of the day. And with the warm up, the way I construct the warm ups, you're kind of still touching on a lot of body parts and core and stuff. So you're still going to get a lot of bang for your buck, even just doing the warm up and the main strength set without even doing the accessory work to finish off, And then if time is really busy, like hectic or whatever, you can even do a finisher, which you won't have a finisher this first week because it's deload week. I like deloads to be deloads, no finishers, nothing super intense. But next week you're gonna have finishers. And that can be a nice sneaky way to get like a 10-minute workout in. But just warm up if you can. That's my only request is just warm up for a couple minutes. Try to mimic the movements that you're going to be doing and go. go forth and prosper. But yeah, all or something, friends, all or something. So that's a little bit of a recap of like consistency challenge and what we're going to be focusing on and just getting, a little bit more dialed with kind of what this looks like and feels like for you this next month and making this more habitual. Remember, we're not aiming for perfection. I've had the most imperfect training since, well, forever. I guess I started lifting when I was like 8. But then I had like some ebbs and flows and didn't really lift a ton when I was like in middle school for obvious reasons, puberty. But the times that I've been just showing up and most consistent are the times that I feel the best when I really reflect on my journey, over these past almost 40 years. And I can't say enough about that, and just showing up for yourself, even if it is just the 10 minutes, can feel really good, especially if you're a parent, and it can really give you, even though it takes time and it's an investment of time and energy, it also gives back time and energy for you. I'm such a big proponent of that. Okay. But anyways, we have a few minutes for questions before Zoom cuts me off. Feel free to unmute yourself. You don't have to raise your hand or do anything like that. Just unmute, ask questions. Satchel, I see your forehead. There you are. Hi.
Good
Uh,
evening. I
hello.
have no questions, but I will note that here in Cape Cod, we're riding all winter.
Oh,
You think you
that's
have to be
so
in the desert to
awesome.
ride. Yeah.
Yeah, because you all can get away with it. Like sometimes for us here in Denver, we have like clay trails and we like it's bad karma
Oh
to
yeah,
ride on those clay trails, but you
sand.
just have actual dirt.
No, we have sand. You can ride
And
right after 2 hours after the rain. No damage.
man,
Yeah.
oh, I need to ride out there. I know we have a couple members who live in Vermont and they're just like, Jen, you have to come out to Vermont. And that I'm like, you know what? I just need to start a GoFundMe to help me like fund all these places I need to travel to and I don't know, enjoy riding, experience riding.
You can come to Arizona and ride all year long.
I know that's so
We're
we
not
actually
that
have
far.
well, we have quite a few folks actually who are down there in the group. And where in Arizona are you?
I'm in North Central, so I'm north
North
of
Central.
Phoenix but south of Flagstaff.
Okay, got it.
So it hasn't rained here in months, so the trails are super dry and it's been in the 60s during the day, so we've
Lindsay
been riding a
too.
lot.
Yeah. Lindsay, wait, are you in New Mexico or Arizona?
Arizona.
Arizona. Okay, I couldn't
There's
remember.
I was mentioned in my email, the Whiskey Off-Road Epic Ride
Yeah. Yeah,
is
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end of April. It's a pro race, but there's a 15 proof, a 25 proof, and a 50 proof. And the kids and I we're going to do the 15 this year. So it's actually 19 miles, but it's the 15 proof because it's a whiskey ride.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so I have to get ready for this 19-mile ride with I don't know how many feet of elevation gain, but
It's pretty good.
it's
Yeah.
going to be rough.
That's
But
so awesome. It'll be
I'm gonna,
fun. I've heard really good things about the Whiskey Off-Road. And Lindsay, have
yeah.
you done that? Have you done that, Lindsay?
Talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm in Tucson and
Oh, all right.
I have done the whiskey. That was my first bike race ever, like a bazillion years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm doing 24 hours in the Old Pueblo, which is another one of the Epic Rides
Oh,
races.
yeah. I got a bunch of team members and coaches
Yeah.
and kids that are doing it. We have actually a high freshman team, freshman high school team going down there to do the Old Pueblo this year, 24 hours. So they're all training right now.
Cool. Yeah,
But do you do the MBAA races?
I used to a long time ago, but I'm probably not going to do any of them this year.
My
Um,
first one is
all
Saturday.
right. Nice.
I I've ridden it. I pre-rode it twice, so I should be okay. It's 10 miles. It's not too bad. It's a little rocky in spots, but that's down in Scottsdale. But
Nice.
so
It'll be fun. Well, just
yeah,
have fun. Make fun the focus.
yep. Just
Worry about
finish.
speed later.
That's my goal this year. Is just
Yeah.
I know I can finish it. I just want to see if I can beat my two pre-ride times.
Heck yeah. That's always fun, especially in a race setting, because chances are you can beat your
Mm-hmm.
pre-race or your pre-race rides.
Right.
unless you encounter like congestion on the trail, which you don't experience
Yeah.
when you're in like a solo ride usually.
Right.
That's the only
Yeah.
time I
Yeah.
haven't beaten free rides is where I'm like, oh man, there's a lot more people to manage right now. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
Um,
That's, I'm kind of interested to see how it happened, because you got
yeah.
all these races, all these ladies and boys and girls going at the same, one after the other. And I'm like, they're all going to pass
Chaos.
me, but whatever.
Chaos. Chaos is
So,
fun.
yeah,
Chaos is magic. Well, sweet.
so
Any questions?
I don't think so.
Renee?
Sounds
Jen,
like a good fit.
I'm curious, Jen, you mentioned in a post a couple back where you had lifted and then rode, and I'm riding a ton right now, pretty much every day. And I'm trying to figure out how, like, strength is important to me, but I continue to deprioritize it for the fun of cycling. So cycling is
Yeah,
cannibalizing my strength training. Any
totally.
thoughts there? How should I think about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I mean, that happens because that obviously happened for me when I was training for like Leadville and things like that this past year. And it's one of those things where you have to look at your prioritization and just think, okay, what's the bare minimum that I could do? You can look at the workouts. I'm a real big proponent on at least at a minimum doing core. Like core is so paramount and doing like a bare minimum, like push and pull. So if, for example, you're in the non-barbell program and you're looking like, okay, maybe you're not going to do the warm up and then the main strength. Instead, for you, maybe you're going to do the accessory stuff. And maybe you're going to do the bicep curls, the seated tricep press, and then the power raise just to get a nice full thing. And that alone will take you maybe 6 minutes, like maybe. If you're thinking like about a minute and a half per set and a minute of rest between, I mean, it's really not that bad. And then you can just build sets and maybe instead of 3 sets, do 4. So there's things like that that you can kind of do to where maybe you're not going to be doing the actual main movement floor press, but you're going to do like that and maybe the finisher or something like that. Because my finishers that I'm mostly going to be doing are probably going to be like more core centric and then including things like push presses or like a hang dumbbell snatch or things that really help focus on hip opening with power because I want you all to focus on building power a little bit earlier in the season, especially while you are having fun on the bike. And what's cool with those is, doing the finisher and maybe doing like a sequence like the last superset of exercises in the main set is then you're at least touching what you need to while you're getting more endurance in, okay? Because even that was something I wish I had done, the last year when I was training. But just trying to listen to someone else's philosophy and kind of grow from them, it was just a little bit of a different experience. So for you, it might be just a little different. Still have fun on the bike, but then think about, okay, what do you have? Like, how many days a week are you riding right now? Like 4,
Almost
like
every day,
5,
driven by fun,
almost
not
every
by
day.
anyone
Nice.
like telling me I have to or training plan,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
my
You're
family will
just
be
like, I
like,
want to
let's
have
go
fun.
ride. Yeah.
Nice. And it could be something too where you could just do like the superset before you go out and ride, and it can actually help like activate you a little bit and get you kind of moving and get you a little bit in touch with your body for 6 to 10 minutes before you hit the bike. And then I will say, like, after you get home from the bike ride, I wouldn't recommend doing like squats, but I would maybe say deadlifts could be doable and upper body, but I would probably just stray away from like squatting right after a bike ride for obvious reasons, because your legs just might be a little bit more smoked, um, especially right after one another. It's kind of like a brick workout for triathletes. It's just going to make your legs feel heavy. So yeah, have fun, play around with it. Well, sweet, everyone. Oh man, down to the wire. Minute and 40 seconds left. Maybe I do need to start paying for Zoom. I realized I was just chatting so much. It's just like I haven't seen I mean, Al, I haven't seen you in like a couple years. So yeah, it's just nice to see everyone's faces. I will get this recording up. You will get a link to it tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. I'll drop the link in the chat and then obviously send an email later this week for everyone to have access to it anytime. Okay. All right. It's so wonderful seeing all of your faces, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Everyone, yep, it's all evening for everyone here. And I will catch you at the next time. You might see me drop some videos in the group chat. I just don't know. I can't add subtitles to the videos in Trainerize, unfortunately. That's the only reason I don't put videos in there. So I know it seems a little bit more personal to do a video, and I actually enjoy doing more videos. I just can't make it super accessible for everyone who might have like some hearing issues or maybe aren't able to watch a video because they're at work. So yeah, you might just see written words for now and maybe a video in the Facebook group. All right. Well, have a wonderful night. I'm going to finish taking out the garbage because it's big trash day. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. See ya.
Thanks, Jen.
See you, Troy.